And this morning we've learned New London is at the center of that investigation.
The suspect's brother may live there, and he's now helping authorities figure out what happened. Your reporter Anna Stansfield is live outside the police department explaining the connection there.
Yeah, so good morning. Police here in New London got a call from someone the night of the shooting of someone who claimed to be the suspect's brother. Now, what came from that phone call is now being used as a critical piece of evidence as the investigation continues. 2 hours after shots rang out at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, police here in New London answered an unexpected phone call. The person on the other line claiming to be the brother of Cole Allen, the suspect in Saturday night's shooting. According to the Associated Press, the brother was then interviewed by New London police and federal investigators. They found out Allen wrote to his family members right before the shooting, referring to himself as a friendly federal assassin and making references to President Donald Trump, along with the complaints about the administration's actions, including U.S. strikes on boats accused of smuggling drugs in the eastern Pacific Ocean. And these writings are now being used as some key evidence to give some insight into Allen's mindset as well as his potential motives. I'm your reporter live in New London, Anna Stansfield, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
All right, Anna, thank you.